I'm Josie Marin, and I play Mia in Need for Speed Most Wanted. Make sure you do all your racing in the game. On the streets, drive safely and responsibly, and wear your seatbelt.
So, if you are or have been into racing games, you've probably heard of Need for Speed Most Wanted before. Not the 2012 game, the 2005. Now, when this game came out, it made waves, and is still considered by some to be the best game in the series by far. But what makes it so special? Well, we're here to take a look at that today. Now, I know plenty of people have covered this one before, but I want to give my personal take of this because it's definitely a childhood game of mine. Anyways, let's get started. The story in this game is very simple. You are this god driver that comes into the town of Rockport and just starts meeting everyone there. You have the iconic BMW M3 GTR and everything is going great until this guy shows up, Racer. So he gets a tad jealous of you and your ride. He is part of the Blacklist, a list of street racers that are the most wanted racers by the police in Rockport. You, being the special cookie you are, win some races here and there, which gives you street rep, which gives you access to Racer, who with his big bad boy pants is in the whopping 15th place in the Blacklist out of 15.
This here is the number 15 guy on the blacklist. You got a lot of rep to earn before you get to run with him.
Now, in order to challenge a blacklist member, you have to bet your car. Meaning, if you lose your car. So, Racer's not that stupid, so he comes up with a genius plan. He will sabotage your ride in the beginning of the race so he can get his hands on that sweet M3 GTR.
How's your car running?
So he does.
Hey, there's something wrong with your ride. You left a huge oil slick at the start line. You have to end the race fast.
Him and his buddies laugh at you, take your car, and you get arrested. After a small time skip, you are being released, and Mia is there to pick you up. She then explains how Racer went from being 15th place to being the first place on the blacklist, all using your car. So in order to get your car back, you're gonna have to beat all the members in the blacklist and beat Racer. Now, if you played this game before, you know the story is not that deep. The characters in this game are super duper cheesy. Like, it's stupid at times. Like, here, take a look. But that's where the fun is. You see, the story in this game doesn't ask you to take it seriously. Matter of fact, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. The game is fun because it's stupid, it's over the top. Half of the time, something ridiculous is happening. And that is reflected on the characters and where the story goes. If you're like me when I was 10, this was the funnest, most coolest thing to ever be made.
Next time, you won't be so lucky.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this makes the story good, but it definitely makes it entertaining, which is why a lot of people hold it in high regard. It's stupid, over the top, simple, cool, but most importantly, it's fun, which is something that a lot of games nowadays fail to deliver. Talking about fun, let's talk about the game. Now, I can say many things, but the main thing is that the gameplay is fun. You're driving all over the city. That's not that big, to be honest, especially when compared to modern racing game maps like Forza 5, for example. This map feels tiny. But here's the thing, even though this map is tiny, it becomes jam-packed with action. As you're racing the obviously computer-generated bots, the map becomes alive, as well as your surroundings. You see traffic coming at you, especially towards the end of the game when it's where the game starts to generate a lot of traffic. And let's not mention the music. These are jam that even more than a decade later still go hard. Now, I'm not a music expert that's going to tell you how exactly this songs improve the gameplay. All I can say is that the music go hard, and that combined with the car going, as well as how fast the car goes, really makes the experience with the game fun. Talking about car go fast, let me tell you, this game is fast, really fast. The game feels a little boring at the beginning. You're racing, but it feels a little underwhelming. But once you're able to upgrade your ride and get to bosses higher in the blacklist, however, things start to become fun. Your car goes faster and you can feel it. Hitting 200 in this game is addictive. You feel like you're going fast as shit, which is something that a lot of racing games fail to do nowadays. You're always looking for a semi-straight road that you can pump all your nitrous in, so you can just go fast and feel that rush again. That paired with the other cars sometimes still catching up to you or sometimes passing you, even when you're going fast as shit, creates tension as you're playing. It makes you want to win even more. Even though I played this game countless times before, I still feel this sense of competition against the boss. Every time I get beat, I feel better against that one bot, but it makes me want to try again. It makes me want to play again. But the part of the game that I truly love is the... You probably heard time and time again how the police chases in this game are magnificent. Everyone glazes all over them. You know, always saying that they're great and all, but why? Here's the thing. No other Need for Speed game does the police chases the way Most Wanted does. In most games, the police chases feel slow, the police feel stupid, or the police are too easy to evade. In modern Need for Speed games, your car can break down, which, while it adds to the tension, it kinda makes the police chases shorter, and sometimes to feel boring or even unfair, which are problems that Most Wanted doesn't have. The police will stop at nothing to catch you. They will go through tunnels, golf courses, or even through stadiums just to get a taste of your ass. They are relentless. Not only that, but they get more unhinged as the heat level increases. They go from being retarded and basically having to hold them by the hand so they have a chance to catch you, to basically being a force of nature that will stop at nothing to catch your ass and get you arrested. The police starts flying like 10 meters into the air, throwing 1-ton cars towards you so they can stall you long enough to catch your ass, or even sending helicopters that from time to time will try to ram into you. And you, the player, are just unhinged as the police. You have these things called pursuit breakers. These are structures that you can ram into to unalive police officers that are after you. These range from a giant donut to a whole fucking building. It's so cool. And not only that, you're flipping police cars over, dodging giant knives on the floor, and taking out fucking helicopters. It's crazy, and that's why it was so fun. It gave you a rush as a kid, knowing that you have the whole police force after you, doing whatever they can to stop you. It created a lot of tension. The stakes were high. If you escape, you got all the bounty points you gathered during the chase, and you could move on to the next blacklist member. If you got caught, however, you lost all your bounty points. And if you got caught enough times in the same car, it got impounded, meaning you lose a car that by that point you're probably already attached to. It was exciting, and precisely why it was so successful. It managed to deliver this rush, tension, and rewarding feeling during these chases, something that before Most Wanted the world hadn't seen to this degree, and that even modern racing games failed to get it right. Which brings me to my next point. The game has a lot of... As you might know, this game was made by EA. I think that should tell you enough. But in case you lived under a rock, EA is infamous for rushing out games, making them mediocre, or even ruining franchises. The studio is not great, and that can be reflected on the game. It feels rushed in some areas, like the traveling system for example. You can just open a menu, select your next race or your next police chase, and get immediately teleported there. It doesn't give you an incentive for exploring. The only way to see the map is through races or police chases. And while it's nice while doing those, it doesn't give you time to see or drive peacefully around the map while listening to the jams the game has to offer. It doesn't give you the time to explore. Not only that, but what I would say is my biggest problem with the game is how dead it feels on the late game. It doesn't feel like it's alive. Once you finish the campaign, there's not really a reason to revisit the city of Rockport. There's nothing going on. Maybe finishing the races you didn't do, but even then you can just teleport to the races. So there's no point in going free roam. In other games from the same series like Carbon, you get these random races or people taking your territory, which prompts you to go on a race. A small detail that makes the world in that game feel more alive, like things are happening outside the main story. In Most Wanted, there's nothing like that. You beat the blacklist members and that's the end. As I mentioned before, the game was rushed, and you can tell by little details in the game. You can tell they wanted to make every blacklist member feel meaningful and scary, like a boss. For example, Big and a few other blacklist members have little voice messages they leave, where they try to be intimidating.
Yeah, it's Vic here. Keep your mouth shut and listen up. It don't matter to me what you got going on with the other guys. You just make sure you stay out of my way. These are my streets, you got that? You just bow out when you're told and everything will be cool.
But when progressing through the game, blacklist members go from being bosses that you get excited to beat and get their cars, to just feeling like a new set of chores you need to complete in order to finish the game. It loses its excitement really quickly and instead becomes a tedious chore list. It feels like they really wanted the characters and people in general to have more of a role in the game, like more dialogue or more appearances. At least that's the direction the game feels like it's gonna take. But instead, the game under-delivers in that department. At some points, the game feels incomplete, like a shell. And as much as I loved the game when I was a kid, and honestly still love it to this day, I can't really recommend it to modern audiences. I tried recommending it to one of my friends actually, and he played it for a bit, but dropped it after a few blacklist members. The game's progression feels dated. The game is dated, and while it was a giant at its time that revolutionized things like arcade racing and especially police chases, it falls short in a lot of aspects. Again, maybe if it wasn't rushed, it would have been an ageless game, but at least in our timeline, that wasn't the case. Regardless of its cons, Need for Speed Most Wanted is still one of the greatest racing games in the racing genre. It solidified many of the cop chase and racing mechanics that are still present in the Need for Speed franchise to this day. It has a legendary status for a reason. The game is great, and honestly at times it manages to give you that excitement and enjoyment that even modern racing games struggle or even fail to deliver. It has a special place in my heart. And if you played it when you were a kid and are watching this, it probably has a special place in your heart too. And that's for a reason. It had a personality, and it made sure to show you that personality, making it just a great game.